It does come with the etch. This bag is enough for 2 gallons or half of a 2.5 car garage. Since I'm only doing a quarter of a 2-car garage, I'm just going to split this bag in half and just mix half of this bag into a 1-gallon milk jug. What this kit does come with, it comes with the base floor material, the additive or the 2-part mix of the epoxy, and this is a 2.5 car kit, so it does come with 2 of everything. I'm not going to use these chips. These are a decorative chip, and they're really nice if you just use your garage for parking and stuff, but if you're working in your garage and you drop bolts and screws and stuff like that, it makes it really hard to find something. One thing that I will tell you with this, if you don't use the chips and you don't put something in it, the last time I did this, before it started wearing down a little bit, if this gets wet or gets snow on it, it is extremely slippery. What I'm going to do is get some of the anti-slip material that they sell for this, but what I'll do now is just kind of take that bag, and then half of this bag I'll mix into 1 gallon of water. We'll cut a corner off right here. Just keep that separated like that. Then I can use this bag to seal up the other half for when I do another quarter of this garage. Something else I want to point out here, I've seen others use this product in other videos and I don't see them doing this step, but it does say to pre-wet the floor using a hose. And it says while working, keep the entire section wet until the entire solution has been etched and rinsed. So the floor will be damp when I pour the etching mix onto the floor. I'll tell you another tip too, if you get this stuff on your shoes, don't go walking on other sections of the floor or walk outside with this etch on your feet. You may have some strange footprints going down your driveway. Alright, one last time I'll take my leaf blower here and blow any dust or dirt that may have accumulated on this since I last washed it off. They say not to use this stuff on carports or where it will be exposed to sun. This is on the outside of my garage door, and you can see there where this material has been exposed to the elements outside. There's a clearly defined line. Not recommended for a carport or something outside. Got that swept or blown off really good. Now we're going to wet it down. Pressure washer mounted up here on my wall that comes in real handy. My understanding is that's all you do. From there, we'll take our etched material here that we mixed up in a gallon jug. You may be using a 2-gallon jug, and I'm just going to start pouring this on the floor. A gallon is more than enough to do this section of my garage. 1 gallon. When we get done here, you're supposed to rinse it off 3 times. I did leave that sit for just a few minutes, but not long enough that any sections of it dried. And then what I'll do is just take the pressure washer and just hose this out the door. Be cautious of getting this stuff on your main driveway too. Alright, now we're going to do this 2 more times and just rinse this off really well. What I'll do after that is turn the fans on here. Next thing I'll do once this starts to dry, it is still damp, so we don't want to put the epoxy down on it yet. The smaller cracks, and these cracks here I did fill in the last time I did this, but basically what I'm going to use, simple grout. I've got this left over from a bathroom project I did, but there are basically 2 different types of grout. You've got a non-sanded grout, which says it's for grout joints up to 1/8 of an inch. This is the one I'll use for this because I've already filled in all the big cracks here. And then you've got a sanded grout, which is better for filling in large gaps, 1/8 inch to 1/2 inch. And this is what I would have used last time I did this for these big floor joints. But for these small cracks there, I'm just going to fill them in with non-sanded grout. Since I've already got this, it ain't going to cost me anything extra. And guys, another thing too, you don't need to go buying any kind of fancy trays or spreader. I'd literally just cut a milk jug in half. This way we can just throw this away when we're done with it. And then for spreading, you can just use a regular old grout float. You want to try to force it down into that crack as much as possible. You can do this while the floor is still slightly damp. You don't want to do it while the floor is wet. We'll take that in, put some water in it. Alright, and once you get that mixed up, I know everybody says it's about the consistency of peanut butter, but once you get that good and mixed up, don't be afraid to get down here and get close and personal with your garage floor. And just take this and force it as much as you can down into these cracks. And we'll take that float and go back over the top of it. I like to really force that down in there as best I can. And once you get that in there, just take your float and just leave it on nothing but the crack. Alright, and once you get the cracks all filled in, that's what it should look like. Once this grout starts to set up, just take a clean sponge, just a clean sponge with water. And again, this will just make sure that the epoxy has a good place to stick without having this dust on here. One last time before I mix up the epoxy and start putting it down, I'll take the leaf blower and just blow this off really well. Next step is here to take half of this can and half of this can and mix those together. Since I'm only doing a fourth of this garage floor, this can covers half the garage floor, so I got to split that in half. To do that, I'm going to use one of these 5-quart buckets. It's got measuring lines on it, makes it easy to figure this out. And then if you're going to do both gallons at the same time, you might want to mix it all up together in a 5-gallon bucket, and that ensures you have an even color. So that said, we're going to open this up and see how much is in this can. I don't know if it's a full gallon or not. Looks like we probably got about 80% of a gallon. If you look here on the side of the can, it's 90 fluid ounces. So what I'll do then is take 45 ounces, pour it to right underneath the 48 ounce mark on this bucket. And then this can here is 30 ounces. So we'll put 15 ounces of this into 45 ounces of this. So that should be just under that 64 ounce mark, or 60 ounces total. And we're going to save this for the next section of the garage. Make sure you take a small hammer too and just tap this lid back on there. Make sure you use a small hammer. I did shake these cans up really well before I opened them. All right, now we're going to mix this up to 60 ounces total, and then that should give us the appropriate amount for 1/4 of this kit. That should give us the appropriate mix for this. Again, take your small hammer, put that lid back on there. And the directions say to mix this thoroughly for at least 3 minutes. I've actually got a drill here. Should make this go a little bit quicker, but we're going to thoroughly mix this for a good 2 to 3 minutes. Right, and then this is the anti-skid. And when you mix this in, you want to pour it in slowly. Don't just take the entire thing and dump it in there because it'll clump up. So while you're mixing, just go ahead and start dumping that in there. That's about half that package. We'll save the other half for the rest of that mix. Once you get that mixed up, you want to look at your chart here, and it tells you between 60 and 70 degrees. Wait about 30 minutes before starting to trim. If it's between 71 and 80 degrees, wait about 10 minutes. And if it's between 81 and 85 degrees, you want to start brushing, trimming the edges immediately after mixing. And right now, outside it is 82 degrees. Guys, one thing this does say is to start in the rear of your garage and work your way out the front door. Really, all that's saying is just don't work yourself into a corner. Go ahead and do the trim, and then I'm going to roll the rest of it out. Then after you wait the appropriate time, we're going to get at it. Basically anywhere you can't get to with a roller. I am going to paint this all the way out to the edge, even though this won't work very well in the sunlight out there. Still going to paint out there just to keep it looking good as long as we can. Alright, and once you get all your trim done, you can take your paintbrush, put it in a like a Ziploc baggie or a plastic baggie. Seal that up as good as you can. Throw it in the refrigerator, and that will help that last until you need it again. And you're ready to start rolling. Looks like we're going to have plenty to get this done, so once I get done underneath that shelf over there, I'll come back over any spots that look thin before this stuff completely sets up. And since I am going to do the rest of this floor later on, I don't care to go past that line. In fact, I want it to overlap a little bit. Now that we got everything rolled, I'll take what's left in this tray and just go over a few spots there where I see that it's kind of thin. And I do have clear to put over this too to give it a little bit of gloss. Let that set up, and then we're going to come back over and put a clear coat on it. I want to give you some time reference here so you kind of know where I'm at on this. It has been about 72 hours or about 3 days since I rolled this over here. I did go ahead and clear off the back section of my garage too. It's been about 24 hours since I've done this side over here, so it's technically able to be walked on, but it's not supposed to be driven on. That's the minimum amount of time you want to wait if you're going to put a clear coat on here. Where I washed off this section and etched this, there are a few spots here And again, I don't know, might look like shadows, but there's a few spots where it's got water and etching on it. And I've watched a few other videos and actually sent a message to a guy that does this professionally on YouTube. I'll put a link to his video right up here. And I'm going to take acetone. The acetone will evaporate and dry very quickly and should remove these water spots, because I don't want to seal these water spots underneath the clear coat to where they're permanently visible. I've never tried that, but from my research and things I've seen here over the past few days, it should work very well to get these spots up and should not harm the epoxy, even the epoxy that's only been on here for about 24 hours. One thing to keep in mind when you use acetone, make sure you leave your garage door open. Make sure you got plenty of ventilation if you happen to have a furnace or any kind of hot water heater that has a pilot light or anything in it. Make sure all that's extinguished and turned off so that there's no chance the acetone could flash. And that's what I'll be using. It's just an acetone, cleans product residue on fiberglass, resins, epoxy, dries very fast. All I'm going to use with the acetone is just an old kitchen mop, and I'll throw this away when I get done with it. But this should ensure we don't have any water spots on here and make sure that this floor is good and clean. Before I start cleaning this off with the acetone, I'll just go ahead and blow it off or sweep it off one more time. Something else I'll add here that might have contributed to the different colors. This material that I mixed in, I mixed about 8 ounces, about half a pound, while this side over here I used the Rustoleum white material. So that may be something that's contributing to the more grayish look over here on this back side. When I do the clear coat, I am going to use the remainder of this Rustoleum product as well as the material that comes with the clear, and you will see this in the clear. So whatever color you're using for your anti-skid, any kind of additive you're putting in there will easily show through on the clear. So just be aware of that if you're really concerned about color. You don't want to pour this directly on the floor or let it splash around and pool on the floor. You just want to put it on your mop and spread it around and keep it as thin as you can. Once I get that in the bucket, I'll just take this mop and get it good and saturated, and then very quickly I'm just going to go over this floor and wipe it down. Hopefully this will get rid of all those water spots, and it'll help to take care of any oil or grease just from where I've been walking on it since it's been set up. Just take that and wipe your floor down. Try to be as even and thorough as possible on the entire floor. And you can see there's a water spot right there. This should take those water spots off. I will leave some follow-up comments in the comments down below this video, so if you want to look down there, I'll let you know how this works. I may even make a short little video just trying to show you what it looks like over time. Not really scrubbing hard, and you can see on my mop, I'm not picking up that epoxy on the mop, so that's a good sign. All right, and I'm sure I've already got a few comments down below about this material that I used earlier being in the cans. When you buy this material now, it all comes in these burst pouches, but it's basically the same material. If you wanted to do half of it, you could cut the corners off and measure it out. All you do is just roll this up until that pouch bursts or separates there in the middle, and then you can mix this right in the pouch. Now, since I'm going to be mixing in the sand or the anti-slip agent, I'm going to pour it all in here, but first I'm going to mix it in here. And you just roll this and squeeze it, and you'll see that pop in between there. And then what you do, just take that and mix that as best you can. Make sure you get your corners good and just slide that back and forth. And you can get all of your mixing done in this if you're not going to add the material to the anti-slip. There is no tear on this, so you need to take a pair of scissors or a knife. I left my scissors on the other side there, and I don't walk on this floor, so I'm just going to take a knife, be careful, and cut this corner off so that we can pour it into there. And then I'm going to mix it even more and add the anti-slip into it. And just try to get as much out of this pouch as you can so you can make sure you get all of your 2 parts in here. We're going to do this the same way we did with the epoxy, just mix this up really well. You only have about an hour of pot life on this material, an hour of working time, so you want to make sure anything you do from this point forward is all done within that hour. And this is the anti-skid package that comes with the clear. I'm going to use this as well as about half a bag of this that's left over, so I'm going to have plenty of anti-slip in this. As far as letting this sit for a period of time like with the original epoxy, I didn't see any time frame, so this is a 1 hour pot life. I'm just going to go ahead and start applying it. We'll just start with a trim just like we did with the epoxy. All right, once you get all your trim trimmed out, go ahead and mix this up one more time, and then we're going to pour it into the tray and start rolling the rest of the floor. All right, we're about 15 minutes into our 1 hour after getting all the trimming done, so we got about 45 minutes of working time left. Get our roller good and saturated. First thing I'll do here is go ahead and roll where I put this tape down, and then we're gonna go ahead and pull that tape up right away. That is the trick to getting your tape so it doesn't get permanently embedded in the floor. I've seen other videos here on YouTube where they waited until it was dry and then had a heck of a time getting the tape up off the floor. All right, and like I said, just go ahead and pull that tape up right away and you won't have a problem getting it up. Should give us a nice clean line there for the clear. I'll go ahead and roll out the rest of this clear here, and then I'll recap this entire process for you. The total time I spent on this was about a full week with cleaning, grinding, etching, applying the epoxy, and then putting the clear down. The total cost for this for the entire shop was about $200 for the base epoxy. I bought 2 of the 2.5 car kits for the clear simply because I wasn't able to mix half of it up, so I have $260 in clear. Actually more in the clear than I have in the epoxy itself. If you add all that up, it's probably about $450 to $500 US to do a typical 2 or 2.5 car shop. Overall, this isn't a difficult job to do, but it can be a little time consuming and can be a little on the costly side. I'll show you here real quickly how this turned out here once I got it all done, and I'll show you the difference here. On this side here, I did put a lot more sand or the anti-slip agent in it, and if you look at this side here, it actually has a lot in this also, but that has the finer material that you get directly from the Rustoleum pouches. This does have a really glossy look, but it has more texture, so it looks a lot less glossy than a lot of people want on these type of floors. If you want a more glossy look, go with less of the fine additive. Guys, one thing I found surprising when I was looking at purchasing this product to do this floor is the local hardware stores around my area. You got Home Depot, you got Lowe's, Menards. All of their prices were higher than what I found this product for on Amazon. Even with the shipping from Amazon, it was actually cheaper than going to a local hardware store, and obviously you got to wait a day or two to get it. Another thing you might want to check out, I'll put some links right below the video directly from YouTube where they direct you to Lowe's or Home Depot or some of those sites. That's a new program for YouTube and for my channel, so check those out too. They may be running some specials down there that'll give you even a better discount on this product. And guys, if you want to see how this floor holds up over time, consider hitting that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. That way anytime I post a future video, you'll be able to see how this floor is holding up as I make more videos in the future. I'll put a link to another video right here that you may find interesting, and guys, thanks for watching. Until next time.